to another episode of EveryRing, that's everything wrestling. We are skipping what if to break down a popular topic. Wrestler misused or forgotten. There have been numerous wrestlers across WWE, AEW, and TNA who are considered by fans and critics to have been either forgotten, misused, or underutilized by the promotions they worked for. We had a similar show of the topic, but this week we are breaking down the talent and possible ways to fix the problem. WWE. Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Recently his contract was expired, but this wrestler was misused. Karrion Kross has had a crazy entry into WWE. His NXT run was amazing, but his two main roster stints were just disastrous. Karrion Kross was potentially the top heel, but somehow the management failed to do anything right. He had a feud with Drew McIntyre and promised a run against Roman Reigns, but nothing happened. Karrion was given a faction with Paul Ellering and Authors of Pain, but nothing came out of it. Why? Karrion Kross had the look and ability to be the long-term heel, but somehow WWE dropped the ball. He seems to be out, but could have WWE saved the character? Most definitely. Quick fix would have put him in a feud in the IC title picture. Putting the midcard title on Karrion Kross could have done two things. 1. Give him viability. 2. Give him stories for the weekly shows. Somehow WWE dropped the ball, which is weird because heels help build a layered of stories. With Dirty Dom as champion, imagine a complex story where heel vs heel, that could have unfolded into great stories. The Creed brothers, American made. This is the biggest head scratcher, where two of the most talented stars are being wasted. The fact that Raw's tag team division is just awful. Putting the belts on a real team could help solve the biggest deficit on Raw. Julius Creed is just so impressive. He has a future of being a real star, and Brutus has a fun aura around him. Yet they end up counting the lights at the end of most matches. The sad fact, they have had several occasions where they had an opportunity to win gold, but WWE decided to unwillingly trust the process. Why hasn't WWE trusted the Creed bros? Especially with Raw needing that team to represent them. With Raw having Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed pairing up, with the possibility of LA Knight and CM Punk pairing, making other tag teams out of the picture is just shameful. Kairi Sane. This is a bit controversial because she's part of a big story, but the shame here is her not being pushed as a singles star. Kairi Sane left Stardom on top just to be relegated to a tag wrestler. This is a real shame. Kairi Sane would have been an ideal person to hold the women's IC title, yet she's going to be thrown in this feud with Io and Rhea. New Catch Republic. Yes, they are now part of the El Grande Americano story, but it's a shame to take them out of an ailing tag division for something that has a short-term payoff. NXT. OTM. A tag team that was presented with so much potential have been all but lost. NXT has a lot of talent, but in this development, men have fallen by the wayside in Rise of Women. Ariana Grace. Yes, she's been an ambassador for NXT and TNA, but this is a misuse of a very talented fighter who has all the intangibles. Chase U. This is a bit controversial because they are on TV almost all the time, but they aren't being highlighted accordingly and basically are just jobbers to the stars. Especially Uriah Connor, the son of Fit Finlay, being misused. It's true he's undersized, but on legacy alone he deserves better. SmackDown. Pretty Deadly. This is crazy because with the best tag division in WWE, this team could easily add to the competition. I know injury is part of the hindrance, but prior to the injury, Pretty Deadly was misused. One of the most dominant tag team in NXT UK and NXT, they are all but forgotten. Candice LeRae. Yes, she's been part of the DIY story, but this is a misuse of one of the most dominant indie wrestlers. Let's not forget she single-handedly defeated AEW's Young Bucks. So not having her have a singles run is just a big head-scratcher. Candice LeRae would be perfect to hold the women's US title. She could become the women's version of Chris Jericho to hold the title on several occasions. It's very unfortunate. WWE has a lot of talent, but it's a double-edged sword, which too much is definitely a bad thing. AEW. Again, too much isn't necessarily good. Von Erichs, ROH. This is crazy because it seems that only show up when they are in Texas. Crazy to put ROH 6-man titles on a team that only shows up in Texas. Both Marshall and Ross are very talented, but this limited usage due to Texas is idiotic. This could actually be the Von Erichs problem more than an EU problem. Jamie Hayter, she's been more of a back-scene player than the main eventer she needs to be. AEW started with a very weak women's division, but now it's very good, and Jamie Hayter could help add to the deep roster. Megan Bayne, she was signed for over a year before using her. She was the focus in a feud with timeless Toni Storm, but again is lost. With a promise of women's tag titles, this could be resolved, but as of now it seems Tony Khan only has focus on CEO Mercedes Moné, timeless Toni Storm, and everyone else is just body fillers. Satam Singh, the Giant, could be used as an attraction but is just not being used. You can add Jeff Jarrett too because he's been all but forgotten. Scorpio Sky, AEW has brought him in 3 times after his successful TNT Championship run just to be forgotten. He's been showing up in the indies again, so this is a big head-scratcher. The Renegade Sisters, they were a mainstay on ROH but recently have all been forgotten. It's crazy to have 2 very talented stars just lost. Suri, there was a lot of hype, but as high as it was, but again something that isn't even discussed. Maybe the Forbidden Door allow for her to return. Wardlow, inactive and forgotten. Al Bate is not good, but that's more a problem of the bookers. Bring him in, give him squash matches and then pull him away, just crazy. AEW has several others, too much to actually tackle, and they often just shove them to ROH. TNA, one of the better companies that utilize their talents. Bhupinder Gujjar, he hasn't been used accordingly from the get-go, and seeing him just listed as part of the roster while not being used is crazy. Jody Threat, again a bit controversial because she's been on screen a lot and is part of the story with Danny Luna and Indy Hartwell, but actually hasn't done much since the breakup, plus putting Danny in a tag storyline is crazy if she wanted to be a singles star. Another controversial entrant, Killer Kelly, brought back to feud with Marsha Slamovich but seems to be all but forgotten. One of the most dominant forces in women's division is being misused. As you can see, wrestling is a complicated entertainment unit where just being talented isn't enough to get TV time. It's great that companies are taking the lead to sign more talent, but this has created a bigger problem where too much talent doesn't have enough TV time to highlight. WWE, AEW and TNA are the big 3, and with international markets of NJPW, AAA and others adding to the equation, wrestling has a strange problem on their hands. Actually too much talent to actually be used to add to the company. How can companies solve this? How about an off-season for wrestling companies where they divide the roster to help benefit the roster and better utilize them? Summer and winter rosters. It could help tackle the year-round status and help with story. Similar to football and basketball, have seasons where the roster could be better divided. Plus reducing the schedule could limit injuries and whatnot. Well, that's another episode of EveryRing. That's everything wrestling. Now let's go to predictions for a very busy wrestling weekend and discussion. Let's wrestle.
I'm Aaron Rockballs Johnson, and I'm tasked to break down the predictions from Diablo Angelico, Lilith, Aisha Killa, Avard, Ravishing Ralph and Skylar. They ask me because I'm just that kind of guy. Be sure to check out my podcast. Wrestling Without Reason. Now to the prediction. Forbidden Door. Tag Team Match. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage vs. Killswitch, Luchasaurus and Kip Sabian. Nick Wayne was originally scheduled, but due to an injury he was replaced with Killswitch. Prediction. The reunited Cope and Christian get the win and are pole vaulted to the tag titles division. IWPG World Title Match. Zack Sabre Jr., C. vs. Nigel McGuinness. This is interesting, it's almost a match of the ages where each star mirrors each other. Prediction. Zack Sabre Jr. retains. TNT Championship. Kyle Fletcher, C. vs. Hiromu Takahashi. Past vs. present. Kyle Fletcher retains, in a very entertaining match. TBS Championship 4-way. Mercedes Moné, C. vs. Alex Windsor vs. Persephone vs. Bozilla. This should be a fun match, but I think the upset of the night. And new TBS champion Alex Windsor. AEW Unified International and Continental Championship. Okada, C. vs. Swerve Strickland. This could easily be the match of the night, and new unified champion Swerve Strickland. 3-way tag team elimination for the AEW Tag Championship. Hurt Syndicate, C, versus FTR versus Brodido. This match should easily help the tag division and be a match that pits the greatest tag team, FTR, versus two very diverse teams. Prediction: Hurt Syndicate retains. Lights Out Steel Cage match. Death Riders, Young Bucks and Gabe Kidd versus Golden Lovers, Hiroshi Takahashi, Will Ospreay and Darby Allin. This will be interesting because other than Darby Allin, his team is just coming from injury where both Kenny Omega and Ibushi are suspect. This should be violent, and with Bullet Club War Dogs making an appearance at Dynamite, it will be crazy. Prediction: Death Riders, Young Bucks and Gabe Kidd steal a victory where it puts Darby Allin in the crosshairs to pick and he chooses to save his partners. AEW Women's World Title. Timeless Toni Storm, C, versus Athena. Athena won the gauntlet to have this contract, and it's about time she wins the gold. Prediction: a new AEW Women's Champion Athena. AEW World Title. Adam Page, C, versus MJF. MJF set up special stipulations and pulled the contract is not in play. Prediction: Adam Page retains where MJF then cashes in. A new AEW World Champion MJF. Now for NXT HeatWave. Number 1. Mixed Tag Team. Team Canada, Ethan Page and Chelsea Green, versus Team USA, Tavion Heights and Tyra May Steele. This should be fun. Prediction: Team USA wins where Tavion Heights pins Ethan Page to get a title shot for the North American Championship. Number 2. NXT Tag Team Championships. Hank Walker and Tank Ledger, C, versus two members of Dark State. Prediction: Dark State has been hot and new NXT Tag Champs Dark State. Number 3. Jordynne Grace versus Blake Monroe. Juggernaut is looking for revenge against the Glamour. Prediction: Jordynne Grace. Number 4. NXT Women's Championship Number 1 Contenders Match. Jada Parker versus Kalani Jordan versus Lola Vice. Prediction: easily the most anticipated match in new Number 1 contender Kalani Jordan. Number 5. TNA Knockouts World Championship. Jacy Jayne, C, versus Masha Slamovich versus Ash by Elegance. Prediction: TNA takes back a title where Ash by Elegance wins the gold. Number 6. NXT Championship. Oba Femi, C, versus Javon Evans. This is highly anticipated, and Javon Evans has been always a bridesmaid and never the bride. This ends here. Prediction: a new NXT World Champion Javon Evans. Wow, what a great night of wrestling to be had by all. Now to Avard in the discussion.
As wrestling fans, we are being spoiled with so much wrestling content, plus a very exciting time. Congrats are in order. Natalya becomes first woman to win prestigious wrestling award. WWE legend Natalya has become the first woman to win the prestigious Luthez Award. Natalya was given the award by the Cauliflower Alley Club, a pro wrestling non-profit, in a ceremony over the week. The Luthez Award is one of the highest honors the club awards, and is given to someone who has had a major impact on the business of wrestling, while also recognizing their in-ring skills. WWE has decided to bring something from the past in the forefront. WWE is bringing WrestlePalooza as a premium live event. Is an upcoming professional wrestling pay-per-view, premium live event and live streaming event produced by the American company WWE. It will be the 5th WrestlePalooza, although the first under the WWE banner, and the first since 2000, which was produced by the former Extreme Championship Wrestling, the assets of which WWE acquired in 2003. The event will take place on Saturday, September 20, 2025, at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana, and will feature wrestlers from the promotion's Raw and SmackDown brand divisions. Mercedes Moné won her 9th championship title by defeating Emerson Jane to become the new Discovery Wrestling Scottish Women's Champion at a Rev Pro Global Wars UK event on August 22, 2025. This victory added the Scottish title to her existing collection, which includes the AOTBS Championship, the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament Winner title, CMLL World Women's Championship, Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's Championship, and several other regional and international titles. Monday Night Raw. Naomi had a special announcement. WWE star Naomi announces pregnancy, relinquishes Women's Championship. So many are anticipating what will be in store for the Women's World title. Isla Dawn to make AEW debut on Collision. It was an unsuccessful attempt against Megan Bayne. Also, It was reported Nick Wayne is injured, but during the Adam Copeland and Christian Cage reunion, Luchasaurus Killswitch made his return to AEW. The Hollywood Reporter recently ranked the best wrestlers turned actors in history, and Batista beat out The Rock for the #1 spot in the list. Other notable wrestlers on the list include John Cena, Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Adam Copeland, and others. The official order. 1. Batista. He truly has honed his craft and has impressed film-goers with great performances like in Knock at the Cabin, 2023, and his performance as Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. 2. The Rock. The highest-paid star has become a household name. His performances have been notable but nothing out of the ordinary except for his latest as Smash Machine, which tells the tale of extreme fighter Mark Kerr. 3. John Cena. Another big name who has garnered attention. His recent role as Peacemaker has gotten a lot of hero fans excited, but his other movies have many wondering why he even signed up for the roles. 4. Roddy Piper. I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. His movies are not poignant but definitely memorable. Movies like They Live in Hell Comes to Frogtown are not Academy worthy, but he had fun doing it. 5. Adam Copeland. Highlander, Endgame, 2000, Bending the Rules, 2012, and Money Plane, 2020. He is also well known for his acting roles in television series such as Haven, Vikings, and Percy Jackson and the Olympians, so may not be as extensive as the previous, but his roles were noteworthy. 6. Kevin Nash. The Magic Mike franchise, The Punisher, 2004, John Wick, 2014, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, 1991, and Rock of Ages, 2012. He has also appeared in films such as Dog, 2022, Chick Fight, 2020, and Grandma's Boy, 2006, plus a lot of B or midnight movies. Never anything special, but he did take advantage of his size for each role. 7. Hulk Hogan. Kind of the gold standard even though his movies were not. His first movie could be his best in Rocky III, but he was in many films such as starring roles in films like No Holds Barred, 1989, Suburban Commando, 1991, Mr. Nanny, 1993, and Santa with Muscles, 1996. He also appeared in comedies such as Spy Hard and Muppets from Space, along with a guest appearance in Three Ninjas, High Noon at Mega Mountain. 8. The Big Show. Paul White. Jingle All the Way, 1996, and The Waterboy, 1998, as Captain Insano. His other film roles include the WWE Studios film Knucklehead, 2010, and the animated movie The Jetsons, and WWE Robo WrestleMania, 2017. 9. Jesse Ventura. I Don't Got Time to Bleed. Known mostly for Predator, but he was in many movies but never as a main character. 10. Andre the Giant. A role was created just for him in Princess Bride. If you like the topic, check out EveryRing. That's Everything Wrestling Season 4 Episode 1, which actually discussed this topic. Wow, let's go to Matches of the Week, Wrestlers of the Week, and Indie Star of the Week. Matches of the Week. WWE Raw. Io Sky vs Raquel Rodriguez with Roxanne Perez. Continuing storyline with Io Rear Judgment Day Kabuki Warriors. Io is just phenomenal. NXT title. No. 1 contenders match, Javon Evans vs TNA World Champion Trick Williams. A fun match that highlights the future of the WWE. Javon Evans took some big bumps but still found a way to land on top. SmackDown. Charlotte Flair vs Piper Niven. Sensational storytelling while making the women's tag titles feel important. AEW Tag Team Qualifying Match. FTR vs Brody King and Bandido. It leads for Forbidden Door to be a triple threat, but still the action was amazing and Brody King needs to be given a bigger role. TNA Knockouts Gauntlet will determine the number 1 contender for the TNA Knockouts World Championship after WWE HeatWave. Shea Brookside vs Killer Kelly. Shea Brookside vs Danny Luna. Danny Luna vs Rosemary. Danny Luna vs Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell vs Jody Threat. Again, TNA is building up the great knockouts division and this match did a great job doing such. Wrestlers of the Week. WWE. Javon Evans. Now the number 1 contender and finally getting his singles world title match. The future is bright and bouncy. AEW. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. The reunion everyone wanted, and last week the seeds planted and this week moved forward for Forbidden Door. TNA, Jody threat. The knockouts are being built up again, and last year Jody was clawing her way, and deservingly so. Indie wrestler. The new guys. Former Dreamwave Tag Team Champions. Jake Bosky and Scott Stanley. They have mastered the combo tag team wrestling like no other. Well, that's another week of wrestling. Special thanks to Aaron for his predictions. Chalo kushti karate hai.
Wrestling is something special. As you can see, our human element dealt with a lot of superstars. King Kong Bundy, a wrestler deserving WWE Hall of Fame. Sherry Martel was an amazing person who helped revolutionize the women's division. The Crusher, who Milwaukee famous, was a classic star. Puppet the Midget was a bigger-than-life superstar who is both engaging and ahead of his time. Wrestling is life and we want to push it forward.
Thanks for tuning in to Channel 14, Kenosha Community Television. Remember to tune into my program, Just Talkin', shown right here, Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Channel 14. On the program, we cover community events, talk to nonprofit organizations, and who knows, we may bump into a celebrity now and then. So remember to tune in to Just Talkin', Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. right here on Channel 14.
Kenosha Community Media. For 40 years it entertained, educated and produced local production for the city of Kenosha. Viewers like you not only can watch but be part of the channel by bringing in local flair. Spectrum Channel 14, Roku and Internet. KenoshaMedia.org. 262-564-6103 Address: Southwest Library, The Hub, 7979 38th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin, 53142.
EveryRing That's Everything Wrestling is carrying out the tradition that was brought to you by Diablo Angelico and Danger Dan. The show must go on. Mondays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 6 p.m. on Kenosha Community Media, Channel 14 with Spectrum or on Roku KCM streaming. With EveryRing That's Everything Wrestling will keep you updated and informed. Mondays at 5 p.m. Fridays at 6 p.m. Tune in and enjoy wrestling. The renaissance of wrestling is occurring as we speak, so be part of sports entertainment. Each week you can see the discussion with topics, wrestlers and matches of the week. Looking at the big three: WWE, AEW and TNA. So if you enjoy wrestling and everything that makes wrestling special, tune in KCM 14 on Mondays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 6 p.m. EveryRing That's Everything Wrestling.
Bonkers Cartoon Apocalypse, where classic cartoons are revisited. Saturday at 10 a.m. and Sundays 10:30 a.m. If you enjoy classic and rare cartoons, you go to show. Nigel the Yeti is taking the reins while Mr. Boinkers add to the programming. The likes of Betty Boop, Popeye, Porky Pig, Daffy Duck, Mickey Mouse, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Felix the Cat and so much more. On Kenosha Community Media Channel 14, sit back with friends and family and relive the magic of morning cartoons. Wake up, gather the family and enjoy cereal and relive one's youth. Mr. Boinkers Cartoon Apocalypse, where whimsy is part of the magic. Join the other circus freaks where cartoons were fun and artistic. Every Saturday at 10 a.m. and Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Enjoy what made mornings special. Mr. Boinkers Cartoon Apocalypse, where classics fill the time. What are we watching? Movie reviews without pompous and pretentious critics who have agendas. Kenosha Community Media, Fridays at 5 p.m. and Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. Cinephiles who like movies for entertainment and not rants and raves, who make the audiences feel bad for themselves. Weekly discussion on movies and with no alternatives. The movie reviews are to help audiences to make their decision. Not only are modern movies reviewed, but a discussion on hidden gems, where good movies that have fallen through the cracks and forgotten. So before you go out, check out What the Heck Are We Watching? On Kenosha Community Media Channel 14. Fridays at 5 p.m. and Saturdays at 10:30 a.m.
Just Turned Heel, hosted by Danger Dan and Diablo Angelico, as seen on EveryRing That's Everything Wrestling. Behind the curtain look at professional wrestling. A gritty shoot style of interviews where we look at various aspects of wrestling. Ever wanted to know what an indie star needs to do to get their foot in the door? Ever wanted to know what a booker does? Ever wanted to know the purpose of a referee is? Just Turned Heel will plunge into the world of wrestling and look at every facet. Just Turned Heel, YouTube exclusive, starting January 28, 2024.
You haven't seen horror till you've seen horror of the crying skull. See teenagers getting killed. See horror coming at you every scene, and a skull. See the skull coming at you. The skull, and hear her cry. I hope you enjoy the horror of the crying skull.